Josiah and Kelly Nagel podcast begins now. Welcome back to the Entrepreneurial Podcast. Today, it's Thanksgiving week. So, of course, we have a question of the day related to that. But before we get to that, our topic for today, we're going to talk about our travel business, Travel the Last Frontier. Kind of how we started that, how we operate it, and some of the other details with that. We realize we haven't talked too much about specifics of that business, and a friend who's been listening, asked that we share some more. So that's what this episode is going to be about. Kelly.
Question of the day. Okay, Josiah, would you rather eat Thanksgiving dinner at 10 a.m. or 10 p.m.?
Neither. Neither of those times are great, but I usually don't have a huge appetite at 10 a.m., so I'm going to go with 10 p.m. The evening munchies. You know, Thanksgiving, I think, in part is about the quantity of food.
The quantity? Not even the quality.
Well, no, the quality should be there, but it's a feast. A feast requires
see where you're going.
Consuming quantity of food. I am not quite as big a fan of consuming quantity of food in the morning as I am in the evening. So
that's fair.
10 p.m. is a little late, but I could do a Thanksgiving feast at 10 p.m.
Yeah, I think I'd probably do the same. If I was going to do anything, it'd probably be like at 10 a.m. It would be like a brunch style of Thanksgiving brunch, I guess, instead of Thanksgiving dinner. But
oh yeah, that's another good point. There are certain foods that I correlate with lunch or dinner and am not easily appetized to eat in the morning.
Yeah, I'm not sure some of the things that are normally in a Thanksgiving dinner I would want to eat at 10 a.m.
As a brunch.
Yeah. Anyways.
Side note, I my entire life thought brunch meant breakfast lunch, meaning it was primarily about the time of day. It had to be between breakfast and lunch, say like 10 o'clock. Well, recently we had brunch at 2 p.m. and I was like, I don't think this is brunch, Kelly.
And I was like, it is brunch,
so I looked it
Josiah.
up. Brunch has nothing to do with the time of day that you eat it. It's more about the type of food you're eating. Kind of eating breakfast foods-ish at a different time of day.
Which is amazing. I'll happily eat breakfast food any time of day.
I never knew that. But,
yeah.
Okay. So
talking about the 10 a.m. versus 10 p.m., I think it's interesting, though, we would both agree to eat it at 10 p.m. because I feel like this is going back to our one of our previous episodes, episode 23. I think the title of it is "Does the Early Bird Get the Only Worm?" And we talk about being night owl versus early bird, and we're both night owls. So I think that's interesting. We would both pick 10 p.m. still. Maybe that's slightly to do with not being up early, because there are people who eat lunch at 11. 10:30,
yeah,
and I'm not that type of person.
When I used to regularly wake up at 5 something and then have PT and stuff, I would be a little hungrier earlier in the day because I was getting up earlier. So that's definitely somewhat due to our lifestyle right now.
Yeah, so if you're interested in that episode, go check it out. But yeah,
well, let's jump in and talk about Travel the Last Frontier, our travel business. I think to start, Kelly probably has the most to share about this business because she started or kind of came up with this idea several years ago. But yeah, why don't you jump in and tell that? Was that early 2018?
Yeah, so backtrack on Travel Last Frontier, or as we call it, TLF. So we might say TLF. We're just talking about Travel Last Frontier. It was early 2018. And so earlier that year, it was maybe February timeframe, I was let go from my full-time job, engineering job. for downsizing of the company or their project, excuse me. And later that year, so like in spring of 2018, I had been daydreaming for a long time, like for a few years, like, oh, I would love to own my own business or something like that. And once I got let go, and then like we were thinking about what should I do, we chatted about that, and we were both working full time. So Josiah was in the Army still, and we like barely saw each other. Well, I'm being a little dramatic, but like we were both at work. We would work long hours, and then we'd get home and we'd be like exhausted. So we might like stare at the TV for a while, potentially even fall asleep on the couch, and then go upstairs to bed, fall asleep, and then get up and do the same thing over and over and over again. And so that just kind of became, I mean, we enjoyed like our weekends and stuff, but I do remember that being a part of like, maybe we should change it up. Maybe I don't go find like a full-time office job. Because even though the project I was working on was somewhat prone to like overtime, it's not always the case for every engineering option out there, but.
Yeah, I think for a little while there, I was probably working, I don't know, 50 to 60 hours a week, and there were a season where you were actually working more than me.
Yeah.
I think you had to go in a few weekends here and there, and
yeah. Well, yeah, so I guess I shouldn't even say we enjoyed every weekend together, because there were some weekends that I did have to go in and work.
And then, sometimes when you'd have a slightly lighter schedule, the Army would send me somewhere else.
Yeah. So it was just like a cycle there. I do remember that. And so my dream of owning a business, I was like, why don't I just do that? So we discussed, and then it was also like influenced again by that we wanted not only just to own a business, but for me to be able to work from home would be really nice. Maybe go out and do something with the whatever business it was, but to be really more focused on the Army's schedule for you and be able to be flexible that way. And definitely, I mean, there's so many options out there to work from home, or, have a more loose schedule working. And I was like, well, like I narrowed it down to like wanting to be able to work from my computer / phone. And I had realized so this was early 2018. We had lived here for about a year at that time. And I realized like we got so many questions about Alaska, how to travel, where to travel to. We even had our own questions because we were still trying to figure all of that stuff out. And I was like, why don't we enjoy traveling so much and enjoy checking out the state, and like all this knowledge, like it's not like it can't get passed on to new people, but why don't we establish something so we can continue helping other people with the knowledge that we have of like different activities we've figured out, when to book them, when not to book them, what to do, what not to do. So we discussed it, and I started Travel Lost Frontier. It was from a Facebook page, and April of 2018 is when it, I guess, officially started. I think I even bought a business license that month. And then at the time, and I won't go into detail, I was also running a tutoring business, and I was helping with specifically, I say kind of running. I was really my own teacher helping a homeschool group. So it was kind of like I was a contractor kind of thing. Anyways, so it was a mixture of this travel business and that. And, to be honest, I was so new to business, didn't know how to market it very well. I wasn't great at doing that. It was also a confidence thing, trying to learn to how to sell a business, how to sell my expertise, how to market it in that way. And so when we really started, I really didn't know. I was just kind of like, I'll book anything and everything, like your airfare up here and, your travel around Alaska, like everything. Kind of just like, you just call me and I'll book whatever. And that's all right, but it definitely wasn't easily marketable. Because people are like, so what exactly do you do? I still got that question a lot from people.
Yeah, I think one thing that I've realized over the past year is with this business in particular, we've had a little more difficulty getting traction with the marketing and stuff compared to some of the other businesses.
But we'll
and
talk
that's
about that in a
primarily.
second. We'll talk about that in a second.
About that later. Well, I was gonna say compared to like Amazon. Amazon's I would say a different business model because we're on an established platform. Amazon.com gets how many customers browsing every day. I don't have to worry about marketing really at all the way I'm doing it. The customers are coming. It's whether or not I have the product they're looking for.
Right.
And
even even advertising that product, it's like, well, it's a product that's already listed on Amazon. You're not having to like recreate it or do something on Amazon.
Yeah.
Really.
And kind of the same thing with Turo. That's an established platform that does its own marketing. Maybe I've seen a few Turo ads this year promoting from Turo, promoting their platform, etc. So this is a little different in that we're kind of creating our own platform in a sense, starting from scratch. And there's pros and cons to that. Ultimately, more risk, more work, but more reward.
Sure.
If and when it is successful. So from the beginning, what was your kind of? You said it was kind of not quite sure what you were going for, but what services, and then like with those services you were kind of offering, how were you making money?
So the services were, my focus was really booking items for like activities, not items, activities for people, or or like a hotel room if that's not really an activity, like booking stuff like that. Specifically focusing on Alaska, so just Alaska hotels and that sort of thing. And then how we made money from that was some of the vendors offered commission if I booked those vendors for the clients. And we focused too on mostly vendors that we would approve of, whether we've been on it before or it's highly recommended by others. And so we made some money, certainly, but not all the vendors offer that option, which is completely fine. It's not anything against the vendors. Not every vendor is going to be able to do that. But because of that, we weren't always making money off of all the vendors we were booking from. So sometimes some of those were kind of free. I mean, and we were still growing, right? And we still are. And so some of that was just kind of like, let's get our feet wet and foot in the door at the very least to learn this business and what we actually want to do. So it was mostly focusing on booking people and booking activities for others.
Yeah. So, and I think you might have said earlier, but this is for only Alaska stuff.
Correct. Yeah.
Not.
But I think at the time
go to Cancun. There's travel agents that like
do
you
anywhere.
can go to and they'll help you plan a trip worldwide. We're trying to specialize, and we are specializing in Alaska. And I think most people that come to visit Alaska and kind of our target audience are ones that are flying into Anchorage, and Anchorage might kind of be their hub or starting point for their travel. And there's a lot you can do from Anchorage.
Sure. I mean, we're trying to grow past that. We're trying to go even like if they flew into Fairbanks or something like
absolutely.
that. But so far, that's been our niche because we live in Anchorage, so we would know.
Yeah. Okay. So what challenges would you say we kind of had early on with that, or
even through this year?
Up until this year, yeah.
Yeah. Definitely marketing. So what we mentioned before, marketing in general was hard, and I'll go into why in a little bit. But like for another aspect that played into that, but marketing itself, it was, okay, how to best find our clients. Like we had no idea, like I honestly had no idea. I was just kind of like, put it on Facebook and maybe we'll find some people. And
what is your perfect client?
Right.
The one with money and that wants my services.
Right. Well, what does that mean?
Yeah.
Right. So, and that's part of it. So who was our target market? Like who was that client? Like if we had to pick the perfect client, it would be this type of person and they like need this help and la-di-da. And it's not just like, well, anybody with money that wants to have a travel agent. It's like you got to be specific with that. And I wasn't really. And then from that, because we didn't know how to best find our client and then who our target market was at all, we were like, so where do I advertise this or find customers who want our services? Like none of those questions were really ever answered. And I kind of came up with but I didn't really know. Like I wasn't quite sure. And another aspect of the business plays into it, which I'll get into in a minute. But that was a big deal. That was one huge challenge. And then that's been happening since 2018. And then a big one happened in 2020. Early 2020, we were planning on growing our business for our Travel Last Frontier business. And COVID happened naturally. And we were like, oh man, what do we do? And so
COVID happened unnaturally, some would say.
Sure, but we
check with Dr. Fauci on that one.
Right. But we lost momentum. Certainly in 2020, and we decided like, hey, let's not focus on this business, because we were like, I mean, it's so up in the air. Do we encourage travel? Do we not? All the things. Because it was so restricted, especially even over the summer of 2020 on who could visit Alaska, and it was really restricted on non-residents and foreigners, like couldn't really come, or it was super hard to, at least.
Yeah, and I want to add to that. Early 2020, let's see, I was still in the military, planning on leaving that fall. So we kind of had this window of 8-9 months of military benefits and income, and I was still working there, but I had a little more flexibility because I was transitioning out.
And we had a plan. If you want to go check that out, I think we talked about that in a previous episode. Maybe I'll link it down below if I can find it. We talked about, like, we had a plan set. Oh, it was our what we've done so far this year episode. I think it was like episode 20 or 21.
Yeah, maybe in September. Yeah, so what I was going to say is we were really strongly working to grow this travel business by getting into Airbnb short-term rentals. And we looked at a bunch of different properties, and we were close to signing some leases or things like that. And then all these travel things happened, and we were like, well, shoot, because we were planning on this business and aspects of it being our main income source.
Yeah, that was huge, because we had a plan starting like fall of 2019, starting to plan all this, because you were basically like, okay, I'm getting out the following fall. So fall of 2020, we were starting to plan fall of 2019, like, okay, what are we doing? And so we had a plan. Then by March, April, May, we were like, we've got to shift this completely. It was kind of wild. So go check out that old episode if you want to learn more about that.
So by you saying lost momentum, I think for me, at least personally, I was really frustrated. There were things completely out of our control that destroyed the opportunity with this business and made it pretty much zero for the entirety of 2020. And so I was really frustrated, lost kind of any motivation or desire to work on this. I think maybe you could say the same.
Yeah, I would say the same. It was definitely difficult to stay motivated. Like I'm pretty sure stopped posting frequently on our Instagram and Facebook pages, because I was like, I mean, what's the point? Like, what do I do?
Yeah, we talked a while about even just closing that.
We did.
The business license and everything completely. And,
and I mean, I'm glad
our
we
CPA
didn't,
was like, maybe hold off.
Yeah.
And we're like, eh. And then our procrastination to actually close it, I guess, benefited us.
Yeah, I'm glad we didn't.
So yeah, go ahead. I derailed you.
No, it's fine. Then. Yeah, so another challenge we came up on, which affecting the marketing, the reason why we couldn't figure out what client to do or where to find them was because we weren't really figuring out a good niche other than we'll book anything around Alaska. Well, what does that mean? Like, if you're being too open-ended with like your clients or potential people that could be your clients, if you're just kind of in general, I'll do anything for you. They're like, well, I don't know what that means, so I'm going to go find somebody else, right? So we really didn't figure out our actual services and what we wanted to provide, let alone what we would want our customers to want, if that kind of makes sense. Like, we just kind of left it like, we'll book anything. Well, what does that mean? Like, what does that help me with? So after 2020, so we're talking 2021, early summer, we started trying to figure out, we were realizing that this was a problem. We were like, what are our services exactly? And we were realizing throughout the summer, we booked some clients, and we were like, we're not being really clear with people. Like, we're saying we can book anything, and we're like, we have expertise on this, and we'll help you set up an itinerary, kind of. But we were really focusing on just, we'll book whatever. Well, that doesn't help. And so we were really seeing that during this season of life. So during this summer season, we were like, okay, we got to start like reining in like what we need to be offering our customers to make it clearer to them. And then we also were trying to figure out, okay, what actually do we want to do? Like, as we were booking things over this past summer or offering things online, we were like, do we actually want to be doing this? Or is this actually helping our customers out? Like, I don't know if this is actually working. Like, parts of our business were working well. So we were starting to like realize those things. And then we also, was it the beginning of the summer when we decided we were like, let's offer Turo. This is looking like really great. Was it like May, or it might have been later, maybe June?
Yeah, I think I started looking into it in May, and then took a while doing some research and finding the right vehicle, and bought the vehicle we have now end of July, I believe, kind of at the peak of the summer as travel was starting to wind down.
Yeah, and so when we added that, we were realizing, so on top of like the our like booking services weren't quite clear to clients and customers, and we weren't actually being helpful. Sometimes weren't actually being helpful and being so generic. With adding Turo, we were like, wow, okay, this is going to really broaden what we're doing and our customer base in general, and who we're seeking out for Turo stuff versus who we're seeking out for in like itinerary booking. Now, they could cross, but not always. I mean, Turo is its own platform, like we mentioned before, but even beyond that, you can still market it, right? So we were also seeing that this could also help, like adding Turo was also helping our mind see what exactly do we want to serve our customers. Like, who do we want to serve? How do we want to serve them? And what do our customers actually want? Like, we were realizing those things when people were booking stuff on Turo and asking us certain questions. And then as we were booking clients over the summer, we were realizing for activities, oh, what we're doing isn't helping, or what we're doing is helping in certain areas.
Yeah, I think ultimately there's a lot of ways that you can help people traveling to Alaska. Alaska is kind of a bucket list destination for a lot of people. Something they might save up for a long time, or it's on a wish list for a long time, and then they make that trip one time.
Yeah.
Some people love it so much they come back again and again, and then eventually they come on that trip and accidentally get a job and stay, and then
30 years later
marry someone, and a lot of people like that. But most people, it's like a once in a lifetime trip. So everybody wants different levels of assistance in that. There's some people that just want to do all the research on their own. They're very hands-on. This trip is their baby that they've been dreaming about for 10 years, and they want full control over it. And so the only assistance that those people are going to want is maybe watch some videos or read some articles about specific vendors, kind of see what they could potentially actually experience from that. That's not the kind of person that's going to trust or want someone to do more in depth and actually book it all for them. And then it goes lots of in-betweens all the way to the part of, some people who, I want to do fishing, ATV sounds cool, and I really like mountains. I'll be there for a week. What should we do? And then we plan a full itinerary for them with the specific vendors and stuff, kind of give them the budget, how much it's going to cost, and they're like, wow, that's amazing. That's exactly what we wanted. Yeah, book it for us. And then we, figure out the finances and book everything for them. And they're super hands off because maybe they don't have the time to do a couple years of research.
Or at the very least, they would rather just go ahead and hire someone because maybe, yeah, they just don't want to take the time and they'd rather just go with an expert that knows we've done so many itineraries around or gone to certain places so many times.
Absolutely. And there's only so much you can learn about visiting Alaska by researching on the internet for a couple of years.
Well, yeah, and there's even just straight up vendors who aren't on the internet. Like in Alaska, there's plenty of people that are like, nah, I just don't have a website. And I mean, that's pretty common.
Or they're really good vendors, but when they answer the phone, they go, "Why are you calling me?" And you're like,
Sometimes we've definitely people have answered the phone and they've been like, "Hello," and I'm like, "Is this a company? Like, what is this?"
Their customer service is subpar. They're independent Alaskans that want your money, but they want you to stay off their porch. And so
they want to serve you. Okay, that comes across as many of the vendors aren't nice. They're very hospitable. I will say that.
Yeah.
They're very hospitable. Most vendors are, but they definitely are like, come visit, come hang out, but like not necessarily into like the tech stuff.
Yeah, so there's challenges in communicating with some of them.
Sure.
A lot of them are old school and their websites are
from the 90s, maybe.
Made with HTML in a notepad document.
Oh,
if
man.
you ever done any web design, you know what I'm talking about.
Oh man.
Okay.
But so our thoughts and our thoughts right now and our current ideas / what we're actually doing on how we're planning on solving some of the problems we've mentioned or the things we've seen that have not been working and challenges we've had, especially in preparation for this upcoming summer 2022. You might be like, what? You start booking? Yeah, we start booking booking things now for summer season. But so focusing on the travel agency without Turo for right now. So just focusing on the travel agency part. So we're starting to streamline our services and try to make it easier for us to run our business and also clearly market it to customers. Trying to not just say, well, just, whatever. Like, okay, well, that's not helping me as a client. They're like, what are you talking about? So we're focusing on, instead of just, we'll book anything for you, we're focusing on itinerary building and to give the clients the best advice in regards to that. So our first focus is going to be, we book itineraries. We make itineraries. We can help with your do-it-yourself itinerary. We give you some suggestions online, and then to like pre-built itineraries where we've already set up an itinerary, maybe for a couple-day trip to Seward or a 5-day trip in Anchorage, that sort of thing. And so somebody can like purchase those, and then all the way up to custom itineraries somebody can create.
Yeah, and I think I'm
sorry, did I say custom itineraries someone can create? I meant custom itineraries we would create for them.
Yeah, that's someone being us. I think one of the reasons that there isn't a lure or demand for kind of pre-built itineraries and things like what Kelly just mentioned is a lot of people don't understand how big Alaska is and how long it takes to drive places. So if you don't know anything about Alaska, you're not going to understand a word of what I'm about to say. But people think, oh yeah, I can go from Homer to Anchorage and then from Fairbanks in 2 days. And while I'm doing that, I want to fish in Seward. And
I want to go see the bears in Kodiak.
Yeah, I want to see and I want to swing by. I heard of this place called Sitka. I want to stop by there, and it's like, okay, Sitka's an island. You gotta fly there. It's like about a 5-hour drive from Homer to Anchorage, so that'll fill a day right there, and then it's 6 to 7 hours from Anchorage to Fairbanks. So the vast expanse, and maybe you look on a map and it's like, oh, that's not that many miles. It's some of the roads are dirt with potholes and things like that. So it's
right.
It's hard to imagine traveling in Alaska when you've spent most of your life in the lower 48. It's very different.
With interstate highways. Yeah. We don't have that.
Going from Homer to Fairbanks is the equivalent of driving through several states on the East Coast. Maybe from like Virginia to Florida.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Maybe even further.
That's actually pretty accurate.
Yeah.
So imagine trying to do that. And so that's kind of something that a pre-built itinerary or itinerary services can help people with. Figuring out what's a realistic timeline. How many activities can we actually fit in? What are places we can actually get to within a week?
Sure.
Can I actually go to Juneau? Well, you're going to have to fly to get there.
Sure.
And that's not going to, unless that's a high priority, that's probably not going to be the best bang for your buck when you're only here for a week.
So this is exactly why you're hitting it right on the nail on the head. Nail on the head. I think I said that right. Oops. You're hitting it right there. We're focusing instead of like, we'll book anything for you. We were realizing for a while when we said that, people just really didn't understand. They didn't understand. They're like, I want to book this and do that in Juneau and then Fairbanks. And you're like, oh, wait a second. And so now we're focusing on itinerary building, planning, whether that's, again, do-it-yourself, pre-built, or custom. And then with that, so we will book activities for you. It's just, it will be through itinerary planning. So we're not going to really focus on booking anything unless like you're going through us for itinerary building or planning, which was going to really help in regards to marketing. So we're not going to just market, we'll book anything for you. Like, what does that mean? We're like, our goal is to help you make the best itinerary and best Alaskan adventure you can have. So that's our ultimate goal. And then all of this, like what we've just said, helps narrow down our niche so we can find our target market, our best client, our, like, I guess our goal, #goal client or something, and advertise where they're located. So where we can find them and where they need help. This isn't for everyone. Like, booking through us is not a requirement to come visit Alaska. It's just if you want help itinerary planning, we can do that for you.
Well, I'm talking to the governor right now. Are you familiar with mandates?
Stop it. And so going back, when I said especially prepping, like all of this is helping prep for next summer, you might be like, what, Kelly? What are you talking about? No, we're starting to advertise and book things now for next summer because a lot of those activities can book up and are really hard to find open dates the closer you get to what, like, months of July. So like June through August is really hard to book up things.
Yeah, I think if you're interested in visiting Alaska, some of the most popular ones that seem to book up every summer, the train, especially
yes.
the route from Anchorage to Seward, as well as most fishing charters. If you're waiting till like within the month or you got a very particular location or something, you need to book far in advance. There's went on a charter this past summer with some friends, and when we finished the charter, the guy who organized the trip, one of our friends, immediately went to go see the secretary to book for this coming summer, 2022, and that's pretty early. But he wanted to guarantee that he could be on the list, and that's how you have to do it if that's something that you really want.
Yes, most definitely. That and a lot of hotels or cabins and that sort of thing can book up pretty quickly, especially in certain areas like around Denali, Healy, that area. Those places can book up fast because it's such a small area. And if you think about it, most people are coming up in the summertime, but that doesn't mean that we can have like millions of hotel rooms just like amply open and available. So most people, like when they book it, like they're booking it well in advance. So if you're looking for a specific trip, a certain hotel, a certain activity, I would start looking into those things now.
Yeah. And I think, adding on to what you just said, rental cars as well as like Airbnbs. And so rental cars is something we added to the business this year. So talk about the Turo.
Yeah, most definitely. We're prepping right now on how to best run our business, now during the middle of winter when the clients aren't back to back, so that summertime when it's busy season and they are back to back, it's easier to manage. And I mean, like, we're talking like how to message them, how to message the customer as best we can or as quickly as possible. What's the easiest way to transition, like car, vehicle, like cleaning it. And so right now we have figured out we can run most of that from our phone and computer. That's super helpful in transitioning things. And this is done because we're able to park our car at a parking lot near the airport that's Turo friendly. And during the summer, we're able to use a cleaner on site who's amazing, who can prep the car when it's like ready for turnover. So that's been super helpful.
And that makes it very feasible to scale the quantity of vehicles that we have, because we don't have to, there's only 2 of us. And if you got to drop off a vehicle, clean a vehicle, there's so many hours we can spend on that, shuttling stuff back and forth. And so with this, in theory, a lot of the messages you send to the customers are kind of the same across the board. People ask the same kind of questions. You give the same kind of drop-off, pickup information. So, yes, you would spend more time, but 1 vehicle versus 10 vehicles, not a huge difference in the difficulty of management. It's just you got to spend a little bit more time.
Right.
It's not you got to Chinese fire drill shuffle 10 vehicles across the city.
Sure, yeah.
That would be tough and seems not doable when it's the 2 of us.
Yeah, and speaking of, we're planning on adding more vehicles in the near future. So this will really help in growing our business and hopefully get our name out there for itinerary planning as well. But in general, at least just help others and grow it financially. So, Josiah, you think of anything else?
Yeah, that's kind of the overview of this business. Maybe sometime in the future we'll share some numbers about this. There's it's a very seasonal business, so there's not much right now in November.
Sure.
You could look at our Turo numbers. That would kind of give you an idea of what this travel agency business kind of would look like in regards to demand. It I think matches up with rental cars, Airbnbs, hotels, very, very similarly. So yeah, maybe we'll come back on this at the end of the 2022 summer season, and maybe we can try to share a few more details how that season went. But yeah, that's this business. It's been kind of a steep learning curve, and trying to decipher what business model we want to go towards, what customers we want to go towards, and then a lot of frustrations with COVID, government mandates, etc., that have really added challenges to this business that we did not expect. Yes. Completely out of our control.
Most definitely.
But I think that's everything for this one. Thanks for listening, watching.
Yeah, go check us out on You Can Travel. You can travel. I mean, you can travel up here. That would be great. Check us out at Travel Last Frontier on Instagram. You can also find us on Facebook at Travel Last Frontier. And you can find our YouTube channel that way as well, Travel Last Frontier. Let's see, is there... Oh, our website, www.travellastfrontier.com. Really hard. Can you figure out what our name is of our company?
some of our YouTube videos for the travel business. I'm trying not to say Travel Last Frontier again.
TLF.
For the TLF business have actually done pretty well. There's some unique events. I really enjoyed a couple of years ago going for the first time to the July 4th Glacier View car launch. You got like 20 plus hours of sunlight on July 4th, and so fireworks kind of suck.
You don't really do
dark.
them.
It's not dark, so it's not really a Alaskan tradition to do fireworks. So people do all sorts of other random things. Most exciting is this good old boy drives cars off of I don't know, like 100-foot cliff.
Well, he doesn't drive them. He lets them come
He's
out.
got a sophisticated system. Basically, there's a brick on the gas pedal.
Okay.
And they get throttled off this cliff, and we all kind of sit at the bottom and cheer and eat food, and
It's great.
it's a really good time. But we've had a couple videos from that I think you should check out, and those have been some of our best performing videos. So we're going to try to focus on unique Alaska events moving forward, because I think that'll encourage people to come visit. Or there's all those the Alaska bush people. There's all those kind of shows. So maybe we can hop on the coattails of some of that excitement. Yeah. Anyway, thanks for listening and watching. And
you can find us on Instagram. I'm at jellybagel_AK.
Oh yeah, we didn't say that yet. baconbagel_AK. So. And
then you can find us on any podcast platform. You can check us out there, Entrepreneur Nagel, or on YouTube.
And my MySpace is.
Oh my goodness.
And my Google Plus. Find me on Google Plus, and I'll invite you to my circle.
Oh my goodness! Happy Thanksgiving, guys.
I think Google Plus is gone.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Welcome to the metaverse.
Oh my goodness! Happy Thanksgiving.
Trademarks. All right. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next week.
Bye.